Hello, my name is David Hale, and I'm a realtor here in Victoria, BC, with Team 3000 Realty. And I specialize in shared home ownership. So, what that is putting two parties together to own a home together to make it financially more viable and easier. So, it's easier for two people to put a down payment together, to easier to have two or four people contributing income just to make it easier for the bank to look at them and say, "Hey, yeah, that looks good to us. We will finance you." But more and more, and especially as you know, property values are so expensive here in Victoria, it's still very, very hard for people to get into the ownership game. So what I've done is come up with an idea for an investor. Investor can contribute to that down payment, become essentially a silent partner, and they can get their money back based on a real estate asset over a 5 year period. So the idea is that after year five, assuming that there's a 5 year mortgage in place, that the property can be refinanced back to 80%, and the investor can pull out their investment along with their interest. So our first slide here um, establishes the value of the home at $1 million. We're just going to keep numbers round and simple here. A 4% mortgage rate, 25%, 25-year amortization. And based on the fact that this home that's going to be purchased has a one bedroom suite, so it's going to be bringing in about 1750 a month. So I have to say that's on the low side. That's conservative. If you had a nice one bedroom, could go for 2200 a month, or a two bedroom could go anywhere from say 2200 to 2500. So depending on the quality of the suite, of course. So we're also assuming that in one scenario that it's going to be a flat market, so there's not going to be any increase in value. And I have to say, I don't believe that's ever happened in my 33 years in real estate here in Victoria, that the market has actually stayed flat. So in the other scenario will be based on a 2% annual growth over a 5 year period. So the baseline, the light blue on the left, based on the buyer putting down 5% on the first 500,000, and then 10% between 500,000 and a million. So that works out to 7.5%, 75,000 down. And now there is a CMHC premium on that of $37,000. So that gets added to the mortgage, as you'll see. And this model has no investor support. So we'll look at the numbers in a minute. Model A, the middle column, has an investor contributing about $77,000. That pops them up over the 20% required for CMHC fee. No monthly payments to the investor. That's why the 77,000 number is a bit odd. But they're able to refinance in year five, get their money back. In Model B, it's based on the investor providing about 100,000, and so the home buyer would need to put in a little bit more than that. It's also based on the buyer paying the investor about $472 a month to be able to make up that compounded interest. So, why would Victoria be a good place for an investor to invest money? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Just going to go over a few of them here for you. Essentially, we are surrounded by water. That's the big deal. We cannot just build another tract of homes, or like in Calgary, they can develop an extra quarter section at a time. They just keep stretching out, stretching out. We cannot do that. All we can do here is build up. And a lot of people just do not want to live in a condo in the sky, and that for many reasons. Um, Sometimes dogs are restricted. Sometimes, most of the times, barbecues are restricted. A lot of times people want their own little garden, or they have parking. They have two or three vehicles, or they have a RV or a boat. They want a little shed or a she shed or a workshop, a garage, that kind of thing. So storage. So a lot of reasons why people don't want to be in a condo if they don't have to be. So this provides an alternative to buyers when they're able to have their own little piece of dirt. So from the investor's point of view, Victoria is the capital of BC, of course, and so the seat of the government is here. We have just a lot of government workers here. It's all pretty well steady paychecks. Lots of public administration. Healthcare is a big one, because we also have what I call gray hairs that come here from all over Canada who see us golfing in the wintertime and they say, okay, that's it. I've had it with the snow. I'm moving out to the West Coast. So they come here with their money. They don't take from the economy. They give back to the economy, to healthcare workers, for instance, gardeners, handymen, that type of thing. So they're giving to the different businesses here, and they're supporting our stores, and uh, so they're basically taking supplying income into the economy and not taking jobs away. So we have a very large university population here. We've got UVic, we've got Royal Roads, we've got the Camosun College. So there's over 22,000 students, 6,000 employees. We also have the Navy here. There's about 4,000 military plus about 2,000 civilians. We also have a huge tech industry, and you wouldn't see that normally. You just don't realize that there's 20,000 jobs here created, um, and there's about $5.8 billion in annual revenue, and the spinoff of that is about $8 billion to the economy. We have a big tourism industry. We're expected to have about 331 ships come in to visit this year, 2026. And some of these cruise ships are huge. They have as many as 5,000 people on board. So some of them get off, they spend their money here. They usually have enough time to spend a few dollars. So that's a big boon. And of course, we're a beautiful city. So people from all over the world come to visit us. We have the mildest climate in Canada. So in other words, it doesn't get too hot or too cold. And it's mainly because we have this big heater sitting beside us called the Pacific Ocean. And the Japanese current comes through. So that's one of the reasons that it stays so much warmer in the wintertime, is because we're getting some heat off the ocean. So essentially, to wrap it all up, Victoria is a great place to invest, and it's going to be just very slow and steady in the future, I believe. I think we've hit sort of a market cap where affordability cap is sort of there, and that's why first-time buyers and home buyers need that help from an investor to often get in the market. Once you're in, you can count on the rental revenue and so on, and the principal pay down over time. So let's see, the next slide talks about, again, very similar things, how it can support long-term investors. I don't think the market's going to go up in huge percentages again, just simply because people based on their wages can't afford much more than the market is right now. But because of the crunch and the lack of land availability, the market will still continue to go up. And all you have to do is really look at Vancouver. It's had its ups and downs, but it's still, quite a bit more expensive than Victoria. And I think Victoria's much preferred. Of course, I'm a little biased. I live here and want to be here. So anyhow, where the population is expected to grow to about 524,000 in 20 years. So our incoming, the amount of people incoming is about 3,200 people per year. So that we need to be able to provide housing for them in the form of rentals and affordable stock as far as purchasing. So these are the slides that show the effective annual return. The first column is the baseline, so that's where the buyer gets in with 75,000. You have to tack on the CMHC fee, so that's your mortgage starts at 962, so your mortgage payment starts at a little over 5,000. Of course, you've got suite income, and so your monthly payment is going to be about $3,300. So, and at the end of 5 years, there's no room to refinance because remember, 80% is the maximum refinance cap. They won't let you go past that. So, Model A, showing the investor a 10% return. They're putting in 77,000. Buyers needing to put in close to 150,000. The starting mortgage is at 775. And once you get down to the monthly payments, after including the rent, you're at about 2,300. So almost $1,000 a month difference in the payment there. After 5 years, there's enough refinance room to pay the investor out. So Model B, you're looking at the investor puts in 100,000, the buyer puts in 125, so a little less. The difference in this column, of course, is the monthly payment to the investor is $472 a month. So it still saves the buyer about $515 a month in improved cash flow versus the column, the baseline model. And there's still enough room to pay the investor out after year 5. On the bottom, you'll see that there's lots of room at 2% growth to pay the investor out. So what the buyer pays each month, we've pretty well gone over this. $3,300 if they don't have help from an investor, $2,300 if they do, or in Model B if they need a little bit more help financially and the investor has to put in a little bit more money, then they're still about $500 less than they would have paid by themselves. So it'd be $2,800 they would pay plus the $472 a month. So from the investor's point of view, that $472 a month can go to another investment if they choose, or they could pay for a lease, whatever they wanted to use that money for. So the exit math, again, this just shows that if the home prices did not go up at all, there's room, a lot more room, extra cushion, $83,000 worth of cushion in Model A. And Model B, extra cushion as well. So the benefits for the buyer and the investor. Benefits, of course, for the buyer is that they have an opportunity to get into the market where they could, maybe they'd have to keep renting for another 5 years. So they would miss out on that principal pay down and any increase in the asset going up over the next few years. Model A is, if they've got a little bit more down payment, is probably the best model for them. And Model B, if they've got a little less money to contribute, Model B still works. They need to come up with about $472, but that could come out of the rent if they chose to do that. And again, lots of room to get out based on 2%. So just a quick disclaimer. I've done my best to provide honest numbers here that are accurate. It did have AI help me produce this. So in the end, we would want to check all the numbers with an accountant or a lawyer or a mortgage broker. Mortgage broker probably be the first one we would go to check all the numbers, and just to make sure everything is works the way we've talked about, and then we would proceed from there to put a package together. So if you're a buyer and you're listening to this, there's an opportunity for you to get into the market sooner rather than later. And I believe that we are at the lower point of the market. We peaked in 21, 22. I think it was February 22. The market's peaked, and we've been coming down since then. But we're at the bottom of the market again, and interest rates are supposed to be going up a little bit from here. They're not expected to come down anymore. Victoria is a fantastic place to be buying property. So if you're going to be here for a little while, let's talk about getting you in. If you're an investor listening to this um, uh, program, Victoria is a fabulous place to be investing. It's a safe market to be investing in, and you can be an angel investor by helping someone in sooner than they could, and you can make a great return on your investment based on real estate. So give me a call. Let me know if you're interested. Thanks so much for listening.